You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis on all things sports. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, subscribe to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports, and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here.
Ding dong. Hello?
Everybody three count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
I didn't get here because I was cute, or because I came from some famous wrestling family, or because I sucked up to the right people. I got here because I am good. I earned this championship.
Frustrated into the goddamn word for it. This is bullshit.
Brett made a very, very selfish decision. Brett's going to have to live with that for the rest of his life. Brett screwed Brett. I have no sympathy whatsoever for Brett.
This is my show, and I'm sick of all of you calling me the coward. You're the cowards. I'm the one here day in and day out in that wrestling ring beating people up. Thank you very much.
I don't steal opportunities. I am the opportunity.
3 ain't enough now. I need 5. Welcome in, Jim.
I'm an idiot.
Ryan.
I'm a sausage guy.
Matt.
Who gives a shit?
Tim.
Right on the cock.
And intern Mark.
Hi, boys.
Oh, my goodness. What am I doing? There's a 1. There's a 2. Oh,
wow.
Welcome, everyone. 3 Count Thursday. We are live October the 14th, 2021. We are still the podcast of the millennium, and we are glad to be back with you on a Thursday night. If you're following along with us live, we appreciate that. Give us a like and a share. Gets people in here. Make sure you go to our website, 3countthursday.com. That's where you'll find all of our social media links, our YouTube page, our merchandise at tpublic.com and whatamaneuver.net.
What a maneuver.
Thanks, Tim. Our Patreon, patreon.com/3countthursday. Our collar and elbow brand deal. Use promo code 3count for 10% off each and every purchase over at Collar and Elbow brand store. Our home network, NGSC Sports, over at ngscsports.com. And the secondary home is the Leap Sports and Music Network. Ryan, where can the people find that?
That's right. It's right above Mark there. It's leeibsports.com. Other
That's
side,
the
Mark.
one. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Atta boy, Mark. Look at Mark. Kit Kat. Was it a Kit Kat t-shirt? What's the banner of
Kit
the
Kat
week behind you?
Fruity cereal Kit Kat. The banner of the week, I'm trying to get sponsors here for the show. So I'm appealing to the rap kind of scene here with Drake's Cakes.
I love it. I absolutely love it. It's
hi, Mark.
It's so good.
The passion fruit brand is really good.
Is it? I've never.
Passion fruit. Drake.
Yes,
Drake has
question. I have a question really quick. So we're about our sponsorship opportunities now, intern Mark. Did this come about before or after your stop at the Legends of the Ring convention that we were all at? Or we the Royal We 3 Count Thursday, where you were reportedly sending people to every table but 3 Count Thursdays and more focused on purchasing a Blue Meanie shirt as opposed to, I don't know, taking pictures for the 3 Count Thursday Instagram. Is that is that a factual statement there, intern Mark, or were my super sleuths on the scene?
Did you get bad intel?
Did I get bad intel? That's the question.
Mom, I'm doing the podcast with my friends. Mom, no, I'll eat the mac and cheese later. No, I muted my mic, Mom. They can't hear you. Thanks, Mom. I must have a bad connection here, Tim. Yeah, we had a great time at that.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, boys. We had a great time there down in Philly. We had Riley Madison there, and Gabby Ortiz stopped by. There was Bushwhacker Luke, I think, was walking around.
He was not.
Ricky Morton. No, the guy outside.
Oh.
It was Bushwhacker Luke. It was a great time. And there's no place I'd rather been with 2 of my bestest friends. That's my bestest friend, Matt, and Ryan Smokey Miller.
Yeah,
Isn't that right, Matt?
We'll dive into that in a second. We should probably just ask you, Mark.
How you doing?
Well, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, I had a great night last night at trivia. For the first time ever, we had a perfect round at trivia. First time ever. It was 90s music. I mean, we crushed it. We crushed it. I couldn't have done it without Smokey and the rest of the team. We just crushed it.
Ridiculous.
So good. 90s music.
Man,
we would have got the perfect score had it been for those Dixie Chicks.
Those darn Dixie Chicks. Matt, I'm afraid to ask.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm a free agent when it comes to trivia now. So I'm doing very well because I am open to join any other trivia team at Funk's Brewing on Wednesdays. So if you are looking for someone to take down the juggernaut team that Mark likes to assemble, feel free to let me know. A good friend of mine, Mike Shoup, and I have already formed a Disney team for the next time that there is said trivia at Funk's.
Oh my.
There you have it.
My connection's a little slow here. It sounded. Did you say you formed an alliance with my good long-time close personal friend Mike Shoup?
My good time, long-time friend Mike Shoup. Yes.
Fired.
Yes.
Shots fired. Mike checking in with us. Devin checking in. Notice Ryan has a clean shaved face this week. So Ryan,
not a clean face, just a clean shaven one.
Well, I mean, you could have a clean face. I'm not close enough to it at the moment.
I thought it was Shavin last week.
I can't remember. I can't remember.
Nah, Devin would have remembered.
You would have.
Yeah,
Ryan,
cool.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I can't speak for Disney trivia, but I was with Mark, introduced to his friends as, this is my friend Ryan Smokey Miller. Like, they give a shit. And then I learned everybody's nickname was the American Armadillo, Daniel Bryan, not the wrestler. There was Wacky Wendy.
Wacky Wendy was there.
And the balloon guy Tony.
The balloon man.
Or balloon man. Balloon man. But his business is the balloon guy. So, like, why would you put his business over? I get it. I should have known better.
He's the balloon man.
I'll probably never remember their names, but I will definitely remember their nicknames. And again, I can't speak for Disney trivia, but I thought we kicked some ass there. Who else would have known Tom's Diner was sung by Suzanne Vega but us?
I would have known.
Yeah, it's fair.
I feel like Matt would have known. Yeah.
That's a bop. That's a great song.
How many questions did Mark answer the trivia last night, Ryan?
Mark. So round 1 was 90s country. And Mark goes,
0.0.
This one is This Kiss, which was the song by Faith Hill. So we got that one right.
Okay.
But I had also known that, so we didn't need him.
I didn't realize, though, last night the Oak Ridge Boys were more of a 70s, 80s band, not 90s.
They were not in the 90s.
Mike might be calling his shot, Tim. Just putting you.
You'd be doing me a favor. I want the world to understand I'm doing pretty good because I didn't watch. You want to know the most wrestling I've watched all week is right now on independentwrestling.tv. Beyond
Promo code
Wrestling's-
3 count.
No promo code. But independentwrestling.tv, Beyond Wrestling has their Uncharted Territory series.
What a series.
And friends of the podcast, Victor Benjamin and Lady Frost, are on the show right now as Victor Benjamin, the Savage Gentleman, is going one-on-one with the Dirty Daddy himself, Chris Dickinson.
How about that?
He's a dirty daddy, Jim. You should bathe him.
How about that? All right. Well, he's not cashing in tonight.
Hey, you want to cash in on next week so I don't have to watch Crown Jewel? That'd be great. Also, I do a podcast.
No, because Crown Jewel is next Thursday. So Crown Jewel would be on the following week's pick.
Okay, cool. He can do that.
That's
and if
fair.
he wants to, he can also fill in for me and he can do viewer's choice for me. That'd be great too. If he wants to do that.
Oh, are you doing? Well, I guess you would because
I don't know because Marcus will. I don't know if Marcus will be able to get off in time. And
you like
neither
to do
will
it.
I.
The
technically.
scorecard guys are not doing a scorecard for it.
Oh, they're not.
Oh,
They
the
are
one I would smoke everybody on. They won't do.
Oh,
Okay,
You just have to pick Goldberg, and you're going to win.
that's
I
right.
was going to say we will address those picks very quickly later in the show. But yeah, we got everybody. We're going around the room. He says,
Jim, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Mark. I'm doing well. Really, really good. Very happy. I'm a happy guy.
Maybe you think after the show you can talk to Matt for me?
I don't know. He's pretty
about?
he's pretty upset. He's pretty
made a
upset, Mark.
mistake.
No, do you not know the feud now between Mark and Matt?
Why do you think they're on opposite sides of the opposite corners of the screen today?
Gentlemen, whoa.
StreamYard wouldn't even let me put them near each other. Actually.
I mean,
I
I
didn't know
guess
there was a blood feud.
I guess when I said feud, that would took it a little far. Because honestly, if it came down to trivia, I wouldn't really be too concerned.
That's fair.
If it came to Disney trivia,
Mark, you could fix this and just acknowledge him.
I mean,
You're acting like Tim. Whoa, God, he could put the red lights up.
Matt was getting mad and the red lights kicked on. I tell you, it was a good thing. If I recall correctly, at Disney trivia.
There you go. You got Devin, Matt.
There you go, Matt.
I'm fine with that.
There you go.
I'll take it.
Devin, you starred in a Disney movie, didn't you? He was in the field goal kicking, garbage picking Philadelphia Phenomenon.
Was he?
Yeah, he was an extra in that movie.
I didn't know that.
It was a garbage can. No, move on. I'm just fucking with him. He was not.
And that's acknowledging him.
Way out of line. Way out of
Acknowledge him.
I apologize, Devin. I acknowledge you as being
Devin.
better than Tim.
All right, let's do this before we get into anything else. We're looking, of course, at October the 14th in pro wrestling history. A few birthdays today. Blackjack Lanza was born today in 1935. Nikolai Volkov, born today, 1947. Dan Spivey, 1952. And Stacy Keebler was born today in 1979. 1989, WWF holds their King of the Ring tournament in Providence, Rhode Island at the Providence Civic Center. Tito Santana defeated Rick Martel in the finals to become the King of the Ring. 2002, Chris Jericho and Christian defeat the Hurricane and Kane for the World Tag Team Championship in Montreal, Quebec. This is the first title change for the tag strap since becoming an exclusive to the Raw brand. 2007, TNA Wrestling holds their third Bound for Glory pay-per-view from the arena at Gwinnett Center in Duluth, Georgia, in front of 4,000 fans. The tagline for the event was Redemption. The show featured one dark match, 9 main card matches, and in the main event, Sting defeated Kurt Angle to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship.
Duluth is beautiful this time of year, Jim.
Just beautiful. And in 2012, TNA Wrestling holds their 8th Bound for Glory pay-per-view from the GCU Arena in Phoenix, Arizona, in front of 2,900 fans. The tagline for the event was "History Will Be Made." The show featured 8 matches, and in the main event, Jeff Hardy defeated Redacted AA to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Those were the events that occurred in pro wrestling history. All right, let's move right into this.
Since John Moxley and Cesaro, way before Gargano, there was Savage and Roddy, and Saturdays on NBC. These 5 guys on Facebook are gonna take a hard look. 3 Count Thursday brings to you the wrestler on the week.
The second half of the wrestling year, at least in the calendar of 3 Count Thursday, starts this week, week 27 in our rankings. Is there anybody that wants to kick us off this week?
I will.
Tim, go ahead.
Before I do so, another friend of the podcast, Delmi Exo, is now making her. I don't know if this is her Beyond debut, but she's taking on Megan Bain. I think that's her name. I didn't pay attention too much.
Megan
Bain.
Delmi's going to make a big splash tonight, Tim.
Oh yeah, not all the stars are in the sky or whatever.
You got that right, buddy, old pal. Not all stars belong to the sky.
That's right.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I sure did. So he should have been. My God, can I make my picks?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead, I'll let you off the
I'm
hook.
going to go. I'm going to beat him. So, my number 1 pick, I should have made it
Shane McMahon.
last week.
The best in the world.
Perfect. It was good timing. You can't be upset.
Tim doesn't need this podcast. He can walk at any moment.
Shane McMahon.
Mike says it's pausing so you can catch it. Tim.
All right.
Dare I say try again?
I will try again. So I should have made him number 1 last week, but I forgot. So I'm going to make him number 1 this week, and I'm going to add I will acknowledge him for services past rendered. Last weekend, he became the new Absolute and Intense champion of AEW. And this past weekend, he reclaimed his internet championship and saved his career at GCW. Matt Cardona is my number 1 for this week. Number 2, beating Wheeler Yuta for the Independent Wrestling Championship, Alex Shelley. And number 3, the newly christened NXT North American Champion, cashing in his breakout tournament contract, interrupting a fine match between Isaiah Swerve Scott and Santos Escobar, is Carmelo Hayes.
All right. Anybody want to go next?
Those are good picks, Matt. Tim, those are great picks, Tim.
Ryan, would you like to go next?
I feel like Matt should.
Matt, would you like?
I'm fine with Ryan going next. That's fine.
Damn it.
Go ahead, Ryan.
All right. So
Ryan.
I had Carmelo Hayes as my number 3, again, cashing in and the new NXT North American champion down there in NXT 2.0. It was nice to see a guy that I've actually know his name wrestle on that program. So that was cool. Number 2 is Alex Shelley, the new IWTV Independent Wrestling Champion, beating Wheeler Yuta at IWTV. That was last Thursday, so I'm invoking the Thursday follows the next week clause.
Mm-hmm.
Same with my number 1 pick, old Alexander Hammerstone, the new MLW World Heavyweight Champion, defeating Jacob Fatu at Fightland. A real good match that took place there in Philadelphia that aired last week. So congratulations to Hammerstone. Hammerstone dose belts, I suppose, right now.
I think I saw he has surrendered the open weight championship.
Oh, did he? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
the national championship has been surrendered.
I stand corrected. Hammerstone Uno belt.
The referee fumbled Mike's cash-in attempt, so he wasn't sure what to do with the briefcase. So it's gonna hold off for another week here.
Jim, I thought you were calling the shot with it right there behind you. I see the briefcase.
I have it right there.
There it is. We're getting close. I can feel it.
Yeah, it's right there. And then we got the urn. It's spooky season, so busted the urn back out. Matt or Tim?
Speaking of,
or Mark.
speaking of-
Sorry, Tim.
I was going to say, speaking of spooky season, I hope Matt will be my boo again.
Not with efforts like that. Oof.
Done.
Mark or Matt?
Hey, Ahmed, come on back, Ahmed.
Would you like to go next?
I will go.
All right, go ahead, Matt. Try to save us.
For my number 3 wrestler of the week, I had Savannah Evans winning the Daphne Memorial Monsters Ball match at Knockouts Knockdown, which did tape like 3 weeks ago, but actually aired last Friday.
Yeah, we go by air dates. So
perfect. My number 2, Carmelo Hayes for the cash-in. A solid match prior to that, but a title win is a title win. And the number 1 wrestler of the week is going to be Mercedes Martinez for winning the Knockouts Knockdown tournament. Again, filmed a few weeks ago, aired the other night.
Very good.
A solid overall pay-per-view or whatever they're calling it. If you get the chance to watch it, I think it's like $4. It's worth the $4.
That's not bad.
I think we had a lot of friends on that show too. A lot of people we know, and
a lot of friends of the show were on
there. Mark, would you like to go next?
Okay, I'll go next. I don't know if I can follow Matt. That's
War
some
Games.
big shoes to fill.
War Games! War Games! War Games! War Games!
did the Sea Stars wrestle at Knockdowns Knockout?
Games! War Games!
Did it do
War Games! War Games!
Tim looks disgusted.
He is just done.
To answer your question, Ryan, no, they did not.
Oh, it's a shame.
It is.
Mark hasn't moved in a couple seconds.
Yeah, Mark, you still with us?
Emotion. They had the Sea Stars. The Sea Stars.
And the sad part, I can actually see you guys this week, but I still don't even know if he's just fucking with me or not.
I can hear you now.
Good. At 40 seconds later. Do you want to give
tell your mom to get off the fucking dial-up?
Yeah. Tell her to stop searching the onlines. Can you want to give us your picks
Mom's
for the
got
week,
mail.
Mark?
Okay. So I had
You've got mail.
so number 3, I went with Mercedes Martinez, I think is her name there. Yeah, there's the glare. Yeah, this Mercedes Martinez. You know, she's coming there to Impact Wrestling, and I like her a lot. She's a darn nice woman. Very nice. And she's really going to make a difference there. Not as big as a splash as the Sea Stars would, but she's going to at least try to be a big fish in a small pond, I guess you could say.
I love how his voice speeds up and then slows down.
So then number 2, I have Carmella. Carmella became the Northwest champion in NXT, cashing in the Money in the Bank. That was good. Good match. I like it. And then I went with the number 1, the former president, Alexander Hamilton, because who knew he could wrestle? He took the MLW championship. Great match. Now, I heard he's injured. I don't know if that's true, but for now, at least this week, Alexander Hamilton is my MLW champion.
Is that well? I think Aaron Bird did the run-in after the match, right? I'm sorry.
Aaron Burr.
I shouldn't encourage.
They probably could use a little better officiating there in MLW.
Tim, this is.
Aaron
Wouldn't you
Burr?
wish you just had something here to say to like cut Mark off? We can hear a music ditty, and then Jim gives his picks. I don't say things like SM to upset you. I did today.
Tim's upset.
But not normally.
Normally you do. That's typically the only reason you do that. I'm trying to think of any other time that you said SM if not to annoy Tim. Because it used to be to annoy me.
War games!
Fair enough.
War games! War games! War games!
Is Lunar Kitty with
if
us
you'd
this
like,
week?
I could literally just watch wrestling and be silent all week. If that's what
We don't
you
want
want.
you to watch wrestling. We want tonight to be no different than the rest of your week.
I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
why should tonight be different?
Because it's actual independent wrestling that's on right now.
I mean, that's fair.
And I actually saw Twitter and was like, oh, that's right. Uncharted Territory's on. So I'm going to watch it.
So I'll give mine.
Sounds like some dangerous waters.
They look completely identical to Mark's, and I've noticed over the last couple of weeks that they've been identical, which is actually a really good thing. So I should probably start throwing all the WWE guys I want to get more points to out there. So Mark just helps me continue to stack the deck.
Suit.
He's
just throw out like a Max Moon and just see if he bites.
He's a good intern. He's definitely a good intern. He's trying to keep his job, but yeah, for the reasons
I need this
given.
job. I got kids.
So here's what we do.
I've got kids.
Here's what we actually do. 1 week when we distribute our picks to each other. 1 week we all need to conspiracize and give fake picks in the chat. And then in a separate chat that doesn't involve him, we'll do our real picks. And let's see how close his picks are to our real picks and not our fake picks.
I like it. I like
I
that.
like that.
Even Mark likes it.
Who we talking about, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking about Matt.
Oh, hi, Mark.
So you think Mark sees Jim's list and goes, sounds good, copies and pastes and goes, why did I put Mercedes Martinez and like Google searches that?
Possibly.
Well,
I was actually kind of surprised that Jim had Mercedes Martinez on his list.
Well, she was a former
maybe
WWE
Jim's
wrestler.
copy
That's
of me.
true. Okay, no, that makes sense.
I mean, I also don't know if I'm more concerned that Mark is taking picks from someone, or that he thinks that Alexander Hamilton was actually a president when there is a famous musical on the Disney Plus network that definitely outlines the fact that the Secretary of the Treasury was assassinated before even having the opportunity to run for president.
Tim, you know he doesn't pay for the Disney Plus network. He pays.
Mark doesn't look like a Disney Plus guy at all. Paramount,
that means he's going to get stomped out in Disney trivia.
Say he pays for the one that has the 90-day collection on it.
All right. To be fair, I went back to last week, and the first two, Hangman and MSK, were identical to Jim's, but then Mark inexplicably had Bianca Bel-Air as his third.
Oh, did he? Okay, so he switched the third pick last week.
He saw a tweet with her on it.
And that was a rogue pick because no one else had Bianca Belair on their top three.
She is the EST.
Because was that coming off of when I saw her in Baltimore? I thought she put on a good performance.
Oh, that's right. You did go to SmackDown 2 weeks ago.
That's fair.
I think that's what it
adds up. It
was.
The math checks out. Speaking of the math, Tim, where does that leave us for the week?
Should have buy a T-shirt of hers outside from the guy, but the cops showed up.
It's good to see the Hebner family still found a job during these troubling times.
Hey,
number one,
ridiculous.
Alexander,
they're cops now.
Yeah, no, Alexander
bootleg
Hammerstone. Yes. Alexander Hammerstone.
Alexander Hamilton.
Oh my God.
Do we have a Hamilton sound effect? We probably don't, right? I didn't think so.
Not. I never thought I would need one on this.
That's a really, really good point.
Yep.
Didn't
Is
Alexander
there an
Hamilton used to
Alexander
say
Hamilton
her?
sound clip?
I mean, probably a clip from one of the songs from the show.
You
It
know,
was
the
a show,
part,
right?
the part where
Oh, fuck, it's got a gun! Something like that. I forget how
Lin-Manuel
it went.
Miranda sings Alexander Hamilton.
That'd be the only one.
Yeah. Alexander Hammerstone did not throw away his shot, and he is number 1 for the week with 15 points. Carmelo Hayes, number 2 with 11 total points. Mercedes Martinez, sick typo, 7
son of a
points.
bitch.
Martines.
It's okay. Last week, I totally said that we went on the air on October 6th, and we definitely didn't. And number 4, Alex Shelley, earning 6 points and 1 point towards his total. There it is. Hello. So now what this means for our top 10 standings. Well, absolutely nothing. It is exactly the same. The only thing that's changed is the week on the graphic. Everyone stays the same. The person, I believe Mercedes Martinez actually jumped up. She was originally on the list with 4 points. She now has 8. As a reminder, if you go to 3countthursday.com and you click on the 3-Count Wrestler of the Year link at the top of the website, it will give you a breakdown as to how we come up with our weekly and yearly points, as well as a neat Google Doc that I curate once a week, which outlines all of the picks and all of our point getters from Roman Reigns to Brock Lesnar, because Brock only has 1 point and Roman Reigns is number 1.
How many points does Adnan Virk have?
More than Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. How about that?
Is this the point of the show where I tell you who has similar point totals?
I would like to know the bottom 8.
The bottom 8. So
not 10, not 5.
It's an
8.
arbitrary number, but okay.
I had to think of it.
So
if it's a tie, don't read the tie. I don't want any more than 8.
Well, so there is a tie.
Fuck.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 19 people with 1 point.
That's a lot of people with 1 point.
That's
will read
8 times 2 plus 3. I'll allow it.
So I can read all 19?
If you want.
I will. So to give you the depth and breadth of everyone that has made the list, our bottom 19 in 80th place, -1, the former Alexa Bliss, now Alexa Blunt, Andrade El Idolo, Christopher Daniels, Red Death Daniel Garcia, Dante Martin, Dragon Lee, Eva Marie, Kevin Owens, Killian McMurphy, King Nakamura, Kushida, Paul Heyman, Raquel Gonzalez, Sasha Banks, Sheamus, Shotzi Blackheart, Trish Adora, and Alex Shelley.
Wow.
There we go. That's the bottom.
The old 1 point gang.
The old bottom 19.
The old 1 point gang.
That's going to wrap up week 27.
Since John Moxley, Cesaro, way before Gargano, there was Savage and Roddy, and Saturdays on NBC. These 5 guys on Facebook are gonna take a hard look. 3 Count Thursday brings to you the wrestler on the week.
The 3-Count question of the week.
So Ryan, you're actually bringing us the 3-count question of the week this week, not just the soundbite.
Look
So
at
why
that.
don't
2 for 2
you,
for old Ryan.
Why
don't you give us the topic?
The topic was let's rank the promotions of professional wrestling in the United States assuming that the WWE and AEW are 1 and 2. I didn't want to get into the fight with AEW marks. Say AEW is number 1 and WWE. I don't give a shit about that. 1 and 2 are clearly WWE, AEW. Flip them, flop them, however you want. I want to know your 3, 4, and 5.
I like that. Anybody want to kick us off?
I will.
All right, go ahead, Matt.
So number 3, I'm going to put Impact. Do I have to quantify these, or can I just give my rating?
If you choose to elaborate on
I feel like my 3 and 4 are pretty self-explanatory. So 3 is Impact, 4 I'm going to put Ring of Honor, and then 5 in terms of making waves and growing as a company. You would think it would be MLW, but I'm going to give that nod to GCW.
Okay. Solid. Now, okay, so I watched.
Who was your 4?
Ring of Honor.
ROH. Okay.
I watched MLW.
Fine referee in there.
Was it the way the show was shot, or is their ring really that small? Because the ring looked really small. Did anybody else watch?
I'm assuming it's a 16.
I've seen it before. I didn't notice it being small, but that doesn't
like, I don't know. And it might
when you only watch the WWE and they're 20 by 20, it will look small.
Yeah,
when you watch anything other than
AEW is not 20 by 20. I don't think Impact is. It may have also
6 sides.
Right.
No.
8 sides. It's an
8
octagon.
sides.
And it may have been because like their camera angle was pointing down a bit. So it may have made it look smaller. I don't know. It or it could have been the lens or something. I don't know. It just, not that it was bad. It just was like the ring for the there was a fatal 4-way with was Tajiri one, right?
Tajiri won that, yeah.
And with the 4 guys,
he was gonna make my list.
With the 4 guys and the referee, it just the ring looked very small. Yes, Tim.
I just watched a wrestling match in 2021 that ended with a drop kick.
How?
Mamma mia.
Rock and roll.
No, just a regular straight up drop kick.
I didn't.
Mamma mia! I need it. Indies are crap.
Like I didn't know that was.
Who was the wrestler?
Rhett Titus.
Ooh, Rhett Titus does have a nice drop kick.
He does. Top 3 of all time.
He's right on the money.
I guess the Eagles must have tied it up.
They did.
Got a touchdown.
Wow. I also put the Eagles in the 1-point gang.
He's generous.
But yeah, it just was just a question.
Who are they playing tonight? Detroit?
No.
Anybody
want to go next?
Are we just going to Art Donovan him?
Who?
Mark.
Why?
He asked a question. He was like, are they playing Detroit? And we're just like, no.
We said no.
Next.
If we said no.
Moving along.
Yeah, I mean, what else?
Mark, name other football teams you think it might be. We have all night.
Mark, name me 3 players on the Detroit Lions currently.
Oh, Dan P would know this.
No.
You don't get the phone friend.
No. I don't know who they're playing.
No. Hell no.
I love how his response. I love how his response to not being able to tell you 3 people on the Lions is, I don't know who they're playing.
Hey, what? Mookie Wilson.
Mookie Wilson is one. Okay.
How did he get that?
Google.
That's why his internet locked up, because he's quick searching on the other
quick
screen.
searching. But no, Mookie Wilson was not actually one.
Yeah, that
Mookie Blaylock. Mookie Betts.
Mookie Wilson was on like the 80s Mets, right?
Yeah. Is he just gonna keep naming like different? He's gonna just keep saying Mookie with.
I love that we're just gonna keep talking over him, trying to name football players because we know it's wrong.
Who are they playing?
Well, he's only actually named one football player, and that was Brett Favre. The other 2 were baseball.
It's a really good thing he didn't know who Carmelo Anthony was, because we got through Carmelo Hayes without him saying that wrong.
Yeah. My goodness.
No, he said Carmella.
Oh, he did. Oh shit, he did say Carmella. That's
Carmelo
right.
Yeah, Carmella from Staten Island, the princess.
That's her. That is her. Would anybody like to go next for the question of the week?
I can go.
The three
That's fine.
count question of the week.
Sound
Yes,
effect
bro.
twice. Damn, I feel real important. We'll get the bottom row out of the way.
that.
I also went with Impact Wrestling as number 3. They have. Do they have a TV deal? I don't know. They did the TV thing. They have a streaming platform that they have available. A ton of history with them. I feel like they are a clear-cut number 3.
A strong partnership with YouTube.
Great. They used to do Twitchies, but I don't think they Twitch anymore. They got that taken care of. My number 4 right now, I have GCW. I don't think there is a wrestling organization with more momentum than GCW. You don't have to love deathmatch wrestling, but when you tune into a GCW show, you get some of the greatest catch wrestling that you're going to see. You're going to get a deathmatch. You're going to get some lucha, high flippy doos. It is a quality, entertaining card from crust to tip, as we would say. GCW is my number 4. And number 5 is Ring of Honor Wrestling. But unfortunately, I think for ROH, history can only carry them so far. And you look at the history and the lineage of what ROH is, and it's fantastic and it's a blast to watch. But if they don't watch it, MLW, I think, is creeping right around the corner and can easily knock them off this list within a year. So ROH number 5 for now, but watch out.
Charlie says, Mark, I love you, but what's up with the camera angle? Out of all the things that you could pick,
that's the Big Show angle.
Like all the things you could pick with intern Mark, it's not the choppy internet, it's not the random ass backdrops. It's the camera angle.
You can see the colors though, which is important.
You can see the light. Yeah, he has lights now. So we're gonna go with camera angle.
Lights
is the issue. I would have picked internet speed and quality myself, but camera
That's just
angle.
me.
That's
shout out to the
that's
good
just
folks
me.
at Century Link.
Mark, have you thought about trying to stream through the Super Box? Do you think that would?
I wouldn't mind. Right now, the kids are using it to watch Tampa Bay take on Philly.
I think the feds would mind, though. I think that's the problem.
That's a fair point.
Tim or
Super
Mark,
Box is
either
something
of you like to go? Would you like me to go?
Mark can go.
Mark.
All right.
Mark,
Now,
go ahead.
We're talking about the pick for tonight's game, or what are we talking about now? The wrestling
We're
company?
talking the question of the week. You know, like Smokey says,
The 3 count question of the week.
with
There he
the number 3, 4, and 5 on the wrestling promotion.
Save me, Lou.
Lou checks in. How's it going, Lou?
Hey, Lou. Did I tell you Smokey had a lot of answers last night? He didn't have questions, but he had answers last night at 90s Music Trivia.
That's what we heard.
I'm sure happy he was there. What a team. Remind me of that Disney trivia team we had back in July.
So, Mark,
the top 3 after WWE and AEW.
Correct.
I had so number 4. I had I guess maybe I should give you number 3.
You do it however you want, man. You're the artist here.
Well, you know what? I was thinking I got to go with Impact, and I'm not a huge fan. I'm sorry that upsets anybody. But
It upsets Jordan Grace, I'll tell you that much.
Sure it
That's
does.
why, and Deanna Purrazzo, and I mean, I had to go with it. So I'm going to go with Impact. But it was tough. And then number 4, I got to go with GCW. I was torn between 4 and 5, putting Ring of Honor in 4, but I think GCW is bumped Ring of Honor out of that spot, in my opinion.
Man, Devin firing the shot there. Mute Mark, for the love of God.
Devin's still upset about that Dutch Wonderland comment.
Man, I know, man. I didn't know he had Dutch in his bloodline. I'm sorry. He's very upset. I'm sorry, Devin. I'll make you a shoe fly pie to make it up to you.
Ooh, what a lucky guy.
I'll make it wet bottom too. How do you like that? Speaking of wet bottom shoe fly pies, have you guys been to Roots Country Mart recently?
Yeah, this week.
I feel like I'll make it wet bottom. How do you like that? Ought to be a sound effect.
Let's see if
I'll make it wet bottom. How do you like that?
Yeah, it's somewhere around 45-ish.
God dang it.
I'll make it a wet bottom. How do you like that? That'd be great.
Perfect.
I'll tell you what, the Countryside Bakery has some of the best wet bottom shoe fly pies you'll find anywhere.
Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, no, why don't you tell us number 5?
Oh, yeah. Tell us number 5 first.
I go
and then I want to hear all about wet bottom shoe fly pies at Countryside Bakery this Tuesday at
I
Roots.
thought he already put Ring of Honor at
talk all
5.
night about wet bottom shoe fly pies.
Oh, is it Ring of Honor?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
ROH at 5.
All right, let's talk about shoe fly pie.
It was tough. All right, let me tell you about the first thing Marion does, who not only is...
All right, Tim, you want to...
Oh, you froze him too? Oh, there he is.
Tim looks like a broken man. I tell you what, Tim just...
I got to be honest. I'm getting ready for vacation. And
That's fair. That's fair.
Tomorrow is my Friday for 7 days.
Are you going?
Tomorrow is Friday.
I'm staying home, man.
Okay.
My Friday is
shut up.
Fridays. My Friday is 2 Fridays.
Details, Ryan.
Because I'm off next week too. But yeah, I'm just ready. I'm done some checks out, man.
You're just taking.
Are you coming up to the 717 at all?
I could on like a Wednesday, maybe.
Wednesday night. That's trivia at Funk's.
You know, I might could. You know, if there's a team looking for me, looking for someone who wants to, you know, put their flag in the ground.
I do have a spot available, Tim, on my team.
They have a patty melt, and they put barbecue sauce in the onion fries. It is a fantastic, and they like fry the bread. Oh my goodness,
that sounds good.
I do.
What's the topic next week, Ryan? Do you know?
I don't know. We'd have to unmute Mark, and that's a dangerous game.
Can you look it up on the?
I don't think they put it out yet.
Oh.
But I don't know.
No, Devin, you already said your answers. You don't get to change them.
What did Devin say?
Did they change? Oh yeah, they certainly did. He said this is what he said the first time. I like how he spelled out all the numbers too.
Yes. Now there's no confusion.
I mean, there shouldn't be, because we're
always the number 3 count Thursday.
That's true. But then he says number 3 is Impact. We twisted his arm, I think.
I think that's fair.
That's fair. I mean,
MLW bumped from 4 just to off his list completely.
You know what? What has MLW done for him lately?
MLW?
W.
MLW.
Well,
y'all caught that, huh?
I mean, I hear they have an open spot for a referee, so maybe
MLW.
Not yet. Not yet, they don't.
Maybe. I don't know. Lou says, what goes off the rails first, this show or the Eagles D?
I
He
think
said Eagles D.
I mean, the Eagles D is close, but I feel like we've been off the rails for about 47
I'm not
minutes.
sure if either were ever on the rails to go off the rails.
I'll tell you what, the Eagles D is about as fast as Mark's internet. That explains it.
Before we get to Tim's picks, Mark, how's it going to the shoe five guys?
Man, and then you'll be coming back for seconds. I'm telling you right now, Big Jim.
Man,
coming
that
back
sounds...
for seconds. Right? Wet bottom shoe fly pie. I probably told you a little too much about the secret recipe, but I think
they will be very upset, but we'll have to pay them off with that Patreon money that we have. Patreon.com/3Count Thursday.
Oh, that sweet Patreon money.
Tim, go ahead with your picks for the question of the week.
So I want to take my picks a little differently than what have been done so far, as opposed to choosing like the top promotions as far as like success. But I want to talk about, like, if I were a wrestler, the top promotions that I would look to go to wrestle. Obviously, WWE and its intellectual properties is number one just because they've had a 50-year head start. AEW hot on the heels. Right now, there's not a wrestling brand hotter than GCW. GCW is number 3 for me.
Okay.
They have this weird feel of like ECW plus FMW.
Sure.
If you watch the latest Dark Side of the Ring, well, one of the latest Dark Side of the Rings with the story of FMW, what GCW's got, their fan base is so rabid, everything hits, and they're just so forgiving, and the scale that they're on is
I think they got like the CZW fan base that was tired of rooting for a shitty company and wanted to like go back to what the company was, and so they benefited from that, in my opinion.
Right, for sure.
I mean, CZW, I think, gets a rap that they just were ultra violent, but they had really, really good wrestling matches there too.
They absolutely did.
I mean, a lot of it.
Tournament.
Man, the best of the best were just fantastic indie wrestling highlights. But you're right. You're ultimately right. It was a shit run company from an unsavory character, if you will, and they definitely benefited from that. Does it impact you, Tim? Because they were almost my number 3. They just don't have a TV outlet. That's what like hurt me in their ranking.
Who, Impact?
No. Well, Impact, I guess, doesn't either.
Right. I mean, they're on TV, but could you tell me where they are?
Pop TV.
They haven't been on
Destination America.
I think they're still on Destination America.
Yeah, I think.
Are they on the TV
Are they
Guide
really?
channel?
I think they are.
It's Access, isn't it?
Oh, it is Access.
I watch them on YouTube, so yeah, I have no idea.
It is Access. and Matt's making a point is that I don't think you have to have. I think this notion
we're beyond that, yeah.
Yeah, this will
fair.
connect. This will connect another topic that we had, but it's like there's the talks of AEW doing the buy-in on YouTube during Smackdown. YouTube is a viable entertainment platform.
Sure.
That's fair.
Beyond cable. And everyone across the world has access to YouTube. Not everybody has access to cable television. Like
I mean, there's very
TBS
few
or
people that have
TNT.
access to Access TV.
That's very true.
I mean, if we're being brutally honest, like
unfortunately for Mark Cuban, that's unfortunate. So to me, YouTube is just as good, if not better, at distribution than an actual television company is, or a television product is. And you can have some really good production quality on YouTube. Then I feel like YouTube still has the stigma of, oh, well, it's just mom and pops doing their own thing and putting stuff on YouTube, where no, brands now are having entire digital media brand like divisions to make it so. And that's where GCW like really is standing out. I mean, they're doing typical pay-per-view numbers in on Fight alongside AEW, which is kind of crazy that GCW and AEW use the pay-per-view model that WWE has now sworn off. And they're finding success doing pay-per-views, which WWE was like, nobody wants to pay $40, $50 for a pay-per-view. People still do.
Well, and I think
because you got to make them worth it.
Well, yeah, and I think for those companies too, because you don't do one every month.
GCW does one like almost every month, though.
Well,
they're not running $40 pay-per-views.
I don't know what the cost. I think they're like 20, 25.
25.
20,
Yeah.
and they're I mean, that's like their main, you know, for that fan base, that's their main, you know, you have your big show every month. So it gives that audience a a tune in here and interact sort of a feel to it.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to absolutely buy the Hammerstein show. Like, that's going to be a must-watch show.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
I mean, early contender for dude, don't even say it.
I'm half tempted on making the trip.
Dude. Hammerstein's beautiful this time of year.
Yeah.
God, I love Hammerstein in the fall.
I mean,
it's in the winter, right? It's January.
Spring, right?
I think it's like January 17th or some ish like that. But I've never been to Hammerstein. Hammerstein is very much like it's along the same lines of like the 2300.
Yeah.
It's a cathedral wrestling arena.
Sure.
Madison Square Garden, the 2300, Hammerstein Ballroom, the Cow Palace.
Yep.
What about Rosemont?
The Rosemont
Consider
Horizon
Rosemont in that
/
list?
United Center. Like,
what about Hershey Park Arena?
Hey, what
if
about
we're
the
talking
Park
about
Arena?
if we're talking about cathedral arenas in sea towns, then Hershey Park Arena.
How
That's
about
there, baby.
the
Greensboro Coliseum is one.
Is the
how about
Scope still around?
firehouse in,
The scope is absolutely still around. I
Okay.
love that building. That is
But Gage and Cardona, the show is 25. The next one apparently 15. So it's. I mean, that's
right.
Fuck, that's like a Big Mac and a milkshake at this point.
It is. It is.
So, I think you can swing that.
You guys want to bet Mark's theme? Mark's feed is just wrapping up the Wrestler of the Week song right now.
That's about right. Tim, you're number 4 and 5.
4 and 5.
Way before wrestling on NBC, Facebook. Look, Wrestler of the Week. Guess question of the week's coming up. I don't know what the hell that is this week. I better look real quick. It's got to be in here somewhere.
Mark dropped a hell. That's exciting for me.
Yeah, I think we found our clip of the week.
I've never heard Mark cuss on the air before.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I thought I was on mute. You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
No, go ahead and unmute.
Up.
My internet's a little.
No, I can't hear you. Go ahead, unmute. You're unmuted right now. You gotta. I can't hear you
this week.
You gotta hit the button. Okay, good. All right, he's muted again. So number 4, my number 4 is actually the promotion I'm watching right now, Beyond Wrestling. If you look at AEW's current locker room of talent, Janela, Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, Orange Cassidy, Chris Statlander,
Chris Jericho.
Not Chris Jericho.
I thought we were talking about wrestlers on AEW.
We are, but we're talking about wrestlers who are on AEW that came from Beyond and really had.
They're doing the sign.
They're doing the sign, yeah. That had great success at Impact, or not Impact, at Beyond Wrestling. Beyond is definitely one of the top 3 independent wrestling brands out there. They're on the rise still. You can put them up there with so many other great companies to get involved with. My number 5 will be Impact. Just because of their ties and direct connectivity to AEW, as well as their partnership with New Japan, it really makes them a viable opportunity for people who are under that contract with Impact to have the flexibility and the range to kind of do whatever they want in regards to their wrestling ventures. Still a wonderfully talented roster. And it really does say something that Impact has been able to keep the ship afloat this long, this many times, under multiple iterations. If you're talking about under the NWA banner, under the Panda Energy brand, with the Global Force circumstance and beyond that,
Is that
Impact-
a TikTok dance?
I don't know what he's doing.
Is that...
They've lasted longer than WCW, which is incredible to say that WCW or TNA has lasted longer than WCW did.
Point.
I think they're coming up on also being around longer than WCW. If you go back to Starrcade, the first Starrcade was 83. So 83 to 2001 is 18 years.
Okay.
Impact started in 2002. They are older than Starrcade.
Wow.
TNA has been around longer than Starrcade was during its heyday.
Right, and how many articles and things have been written, and how many times I'm pretty sure we've done a few shows talking about how Impact was on life support, and they just keep surviving.
I famously have or not famously, in my head it's famous, but there's a story in the Bible, and I know I'm gonna lose a group of people here, but the story of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Okay.
Where the city of Sodom and Gomorrah was full of just lascivious, nasty, sinful people, according to the Bible, and they wanted God to spare the city. So God was like, find me 50 people worthy, I'll save the city. Can't. 25. Can't find them. Give me 10. So I have said multiple times, if TNA were Sodom and Gomorrah, can you name me 10 people on the roster right now worth saving everything at Impact for? Is there 10? And I think now there is. But there's been multiple instances during this 20
points
years
where there hasn't. Yeah.
You're like, I'm trying to get by on somebody's past works, or oh, is this worth anything?
Charlie, you literally could have stopped at Jeff Jarrett's podcast is awesome and just stopped it there. But yes, the making and history of TNA / Impact, those couple of episodes were great.
I feel so horrible that I've fallen out of the loop on the Jarrett podcasts. I hope to, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, be able to find more time to focus on podcasts and not be so crazy in other facets of my life.
He gets into the weeds, Tim.
I'm fine with it.
And he's granular.
I love it.
It is a great listen.
If I had to put a number of how much I love the Jeff Jarrett podcast from 0 to a high number, I would say 100%. I love the Jeff Jarrett podcast.
It's really, really a good listen. I don't listen to it every week, but it's the wrestling podcast I listen to the most, out of the Conrad pods and anything out of friends of mine.
What's your top 5?
Well, Charlie has he has GCW at 5, ROH at 4, and Impact at 3. Mine, Impact is number 3. I know they don't have the biggest deal or any TV deal or much of a TV deal at this point, like we said, but when you've been around as long as they have, and like we've said, they're the little engine that could, and they won't go away. They're like cockroaches, Tupperware, and Cher. They just won't die. They continue to operate, and yeah, I think they have a good roster and a good product, and hopefully if the pandemic can if they continue to improve and we can get things back to more normal-ish, that maybe they'll get back on the road and continue to grow some more. My number 4, pretty much for the reasons that you guys already gave, is GCW. I mean, if you would have told me at the start of 2020 that there would have been a wrestling company that would have gotten me to put Matt fucking Cardona at the top of one of my wrestler of the week picks and turn into like a borderline Matt Cardona fan or a Matt Cardona fan, you would have been crazy, but they found a way to do it. They're building, something pretty damn special there. So, I'm curious to see where it continues to go. And, if they can, that's the thing. I don't know if you can necessarily put that product on TV anywhere to make it say what it is, and you don't need to with the internet. So they're going to continue to do and grow the things that they do. And my number 5 is Ring of Honor. They're like, it's such a baffling company because with the financial backing that they have, like there's so much more that could be done with that company if they really wanted to. But I've said to other people, Charlie and I were having a discussion on this the other day, that like I just don't think Sinclair, and I think we even talked about it on our show a few weeks back, like I just don't think Sinclair cares to make Ring of Honor or wrestling any bigger. Like it is what it is. It has its little carved out area on the Sinclair channels, and that's all they want it to be. So I just like, could Ring of Honor, strike on the heat that AEW has generated in like the secondary wrestling market, and all of that, they could, but I just don't think they want to. So but they've been around for a long time as well. So to me, that that has to mean something. Charlie says Impact is like Kiss, they just won't go away.
So true. So
How many times
Scott
is Impact
checking in
retired?
with us.
Hello there, Scotty.
Scotty's he's playing to the home crowd a bit here.
I love it.
Even
How's
though
the East Coast treating you, my guy? East Coast-ish.
He's a Raiders fan, so he's had a week.
Yeah,
Oh, did he ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, you had your hand up.
Yeah. So before we take our intermission, which
Sure.
I think is coming up, I do want to acknowledge Charlie.
Oh,
for a second. So last week there was conversation on the podcast regarding thoughts expressed on Busted Open Radio with Bully Ray and Mark Henry during their masterclass podcast, talking about the buzzword that went around was bullying, and how wrestling is soft and things along those lines. And I will be the first one to tell you, I won't speak for the rest of the group, but I'll speak for myself. I did take the time and I listened to the 30-minute episode of Busted Open, and with the exception of one thing that Bully Ray said in regards to the dealings with La Resistance, I agree with everything that was said on the podcast. The buzzwords and the articles that were extrapolated from that 30-minute podcast were kind of lost in translation, I feel. And the podcast was more about policing yourself as a talent and as a locker room, as opposed to bullying younger talents. Like the examples that were given in the podcast were the Public Enemy versus JBL and Ron Simmons, where Public Enemy basically came out, was like, well, we don't want to do any, like, y'all got to make us look good. We got to do this and this and this. And there was some disrespect there, and respect was doled out in the ring. Mark Henry tells a story about people being a little stiff with him in the ring during his rookie year. And eventually it turns around and Like, it was to see if he was going to make it, and to kind of put him to fire. Now, do I feel like that there's people now? I don't think that there's a need to weed out people or weed out wrestlers like there was, because back then, as we've mentioned before, wrestlers were failed athletes. They were failed, like, via injury or whatever, or skill set. They were failed in one place and then became wrestlers because they had a matching skill set. Wrestlers now want to be wrestlers. And now AEW, or not AEW, but NXT and the WWE are going back to the old ways of finding athletes who kind of want to do wrestling, but it wasn't their first choice, and bringing them into WWE. I think as that happens more, there'll need to be people in the locker room who are closer to the business, to police, and to keep people on the straight and narrow. But like right now, I don't know if it's needed as much in WWE, AEW, etc.
Yeah, I listened to the clip. Yeah, I think maybe some of the things that were drawn from it were maybe a bit exaggerated. There was something Mark Henry said, because I think that was my biggest thing was even from just the post about it that I had seen, was it like bummed me out that like Mark Henry was like part of that, like, you know, wrestling needs more men in the conversation, because like I felt like Mark Henry, like, to me, has always seemed like more of like, I don't know, one of like the good guys or nice guys. I don't remember what I said last week, but there was something he said about how, like, you know, how like guys today are like soft or weak, something along those lines. And like I didn't necessarily like that. And to me, like, and this is just me, like, I feel like whenever people from a previous generation talk about like today's generation, like people being like soft or weak or whatever, like I think too many times it gets tied to like mental health, or like people just don't want, like, they're not going to deal and put up with like a shitty situation, where like a previous generation will be like, well, you know, when I was young, we worked at 10 years old for 5 cents an hour and we were fucking happy to have a job. And I'm like, should they have been happy? Should right. You have been happy about that? So like, to me, like that was probably the only thing that I really took, you know, like took an issue with. And it's not even like a huge issue. Like I said, I do think it's things were maybe blown up a little bit, but yeah, it's, and nothing that Bully said surprised me in any way. Like I just feel like Bully's just this older like New York guy that, you know, it doesn't surprise me that, you know, that he had the opinions that he does. To me, it was more about Mark Henry and being a little bit more bummed, especially, and I think somebody had pointed out in the initial post that I saw, because Mark Henry is working with the developing of talent in AEW. So like, if you have this like belief or whatever about, you know, today's wrestlers should still be men, and I'm like, but you're still working on developing talent. I don't know. To me, that just it didn't add up super well in my for me. That's just for me and how it landed.
And I think what the takeaway was too, and I think where they're talking about being men, is handling any issues that you have with like the locker room in-house, as opposed to running to go tell somebody in management, or like going and like what Bully said about, if me and Mark Henry are putting together a match and the agent is here and everything is discussed there, and then the agent goes, okay, I'm cool, we're leaving. The agent leaves, and then Bully and Mark Henry are putting together their match. And Bully says, okay, so here I'm going to hit you with a power bomb. And Mark goes, nah, I don't want to take a power bomb. What do we do? Something else. And Bully then, instead of taking Mark Henry's no, leaving and then going to the agent and saying, hey, Mark doesn't want to take a power bomb.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. Like that's a little bit different because like.
But isn't there something there though to Bully Ray just saying okay and then going in the ring and like forcing a move on somebody that doesn't want to take it? For whatever reason. And like I'm looking at this, I think much from like an independent scene, like where I've seen guys that are much smaller wrestling, guys that are much bigger, guys that are very, very green. I'm talking still in training against the locker room veterans of the independent scene. That's like, hey, we're calling the match. I'm not really comfortable doing that. Whatever reason, like that should be enough. And that is their body. And I felt like Bully was along the lines. And again, I agree with you. It doesn't, you read clips, it doesn't bode well. Right. Hearing it seemed more like a trip down memory lane. This is how we did things. Questions were posed, they answered them.
And to me, and I get that, like, and we're just going to skip the break this week because I feel like we're having a good discussion here, and then we'll get to our what if question and this and that. And Charlie, I'll get to your question. Scotty, I think you had a question as well. Luna Kitty joining us again this week. How you doing?
Welcome back.
Whoa. Hey, Luna Kitty.
And if you're following along with us, give the video a share wherever you're watching us, and maybe we'll get more people in here. Like to me, and I get you can't necessarily compare wrestling to a normal job. So trying to may seem a bit crazy, but like to me, the scenario of like if I'm working with somebody and we come to an agreement, like three of us between like two people and a team leader, and then the team leader leaves, and it's just like the two of us. And somebody disagrees on something and that person just runs the team. Like to me, yeah, that I'm not necessarily as cool with, but like the thing that I kind of took issue with is like Ryan said, what if somebody just kind of forces their will in the ring? Or like my bigger problem is that they were almost like justifying, okay, well, if this guy is green or if this guy is like less than experienced, like I can like not take advantage, but like have liberties a bit with them because like, and that's kind of where I have because it's not the person who's less experienced problem that they're less experienced. And I don't know what they're going to gain by being made an example of or treated like an asshole.
Right. And I think what it deals with though is like, so for example, using Ryan's example of, well, if somebody goes out there, if Bubba does go and shoot power bombs Mark Henry.
Love to see that. I'd love to see it try.
Right, exactly. But now Mark Henry has a bill that he can now go and collect a receipt on. And that's what the whole part of the deal was talking about, where there is trust that takes place in the ring.
Sure.
You're giving of your body and you're giving of your body. And if that trust is broken, whether it's before getting into the ring or while you're in the ring, then that trust has to be, and what they said was trust is either by like, you can choose to, or we can try to make you like, and that's where the La Resistance part comes in. They're the young boys in this.
Mm-hmm.
The Dudleys are probably trying their best to teach La Resistance in the ring. And for some reason, La Resistance is not getting it. And then they're complaining about not getting it. And like, oh, they're being stiff. They don't know what stiff is. Like, if you're not... You'll see it on any independent scene. If ever you're watching a match and somebody hits somebody for no reason, like just a chop out of nowhere, they're resetting. Because they're trying to figure out, there's a miscommunication. So, hey, wake up. All the time. Happens all the time.
You need to start chopping Mark.
Yes. Chops all day. And so, like, that's like, now hitting him out, slapping the La Resistance guy backstage, that's too much for me.
Right.
And like the conversation with John Laurinaitis, oh, you can't hit the young boys. Well, what would you and Dr. Death would have done? Oh, we would have slapped you, but you can't hit the young boys. Different time, different place. If it's in the ring, there's a difference. Because also, like, in the ring, you like we just saw it recently, like not a month ago.
Charlotte and Nia.
With Charlotte and Nia.
Right.
That's what Bully and Bully and Mark Henry were talking about.
That's fair. I agree. The backstage stuff, I think, takes it too far. And I think the story of Mark Henry, getting the boots laid to him in the ring is something that at the time, I think, like you said, probably needed to have happen, that you need to protect the business. And the mindset was like, protect the business at all costs. So you want to make sure this power lifter who was in the Olympics, who was the new kid in town, and taking the spot of somebody who was trained their entire life to get to this point. I get that. I feel like in today's professional wrestling, that's not needed anymore.
Right.
That mentality of like, I need to make sure this wrestler's tough.
And it's also like when you have like a legit athlete like Mark Henry, who's a power lifter and he's strong. There's probably a notion like, he's big. He probably thinks he's tough. He's not going to sell. And if we hit him and he doesn't sell, then we look like crap. So we have to hit him to make him sell.
Okay.
And then he goes, man. And then you get it. Like it clicks. Like I can hit you and you take it the right way or you don't. And like, there's a famous clip of the Skyscrapers, Dan Spivey and Sid Vicious. They beat the crap out of a enhancement talent who literally gets like powerbomb finished in the 80s. 1, 2, 3, and then gets up.
Oh no.
He gets up and he's like, everything's good. Spivey and Vicious leave the ring and come back and beat the dog out of him more. So much so that they take his partner who is playing by the rules and throw him out the ring. It's like, you're not a part of this. Get out. And they beat him, like club him, just smash him. It's on YouTube, so I gotta find it. But it's like a 4 or 5 minute video of just typical squash match. Skyscrapers are trying to go over and look big, and this guy's not that big compared to Dan Spivey and Sid Vicious.
Yeah, they were big boys.
Yeah,
I mean, the only thing recent would have been the death match with David Arquette. The pin. Obviously, he got. And then his safety instincts kicked in and like stood up and walked right out of the ring. But it's obvious, like this is theater. Something went wrong and it looks bad for the business. I get it. I really do get it.
So Charlie says again, my point last week was there a difference between Dynamite Kid taking liberties with an enhancement guy and someone like Bully being stiff.
Agreed.
But maybe we weren't, because when Charlie and I, we were having this discussion in a message, maybe we weren't connecting, because to me it felt like you were justifying Bully slapping the guy from La Resistance backstage. And to me, that's where I draw the line. Regardless of, you can have your opinion about whether or not he should have gone to the producer or the agent or whatever. Because my point is, like, if you're really having an issue, especially nowadays, if we're looking at it with 2021 eyes, if you're really having an issue with, whether it's in the wrestling business or any industry, if you're having an issue with a coworker and you think a situation's going too far, then you should be bringing up with that somebody in a position of authority, because it's, if it's a situation that you're not feeling comfortable in, that's what you should do. So maybe we were talking about different things. Maybe Charlie, you and I. to Charlie, your question, what do you think of the Bill Watts theory? If you're a talent and you get into a fight, you better win. That question was directed at me. I get the idea of, if you're a wrestler and you're at a bar and you get into a real fight, like you're protecting the business by you better win that fight. To me, I don't even feel like that situation necessarily even like plans out that much anymore. Like, I feel like the days of like the boys going out like to these big nights at the bar till everybody's like plastered and being like carried out of the bar, I don't think really happen that much anymore. So at least not on the major wrestling scene, quote unquote major. Like, so I don't even know that that's necessarily even applicable to today's world. Like,
I feel like that's a real old timey feel.
Yeah, I don't think that's, like I said, I don't think that's really applicable in 2021.
I mean, I'm not saying that these guys aren't tough, but like there are bouncers significantly bigger and probably stronger than, I don't know, Johnny Wrestling.
Right. Like, I mean, if you go to a bar, there could be a guy who's, I mean, just 240 pounds of just pure muscle. He's 6'4", that goes to the gym every day and works and he's bigger than Ricochet. So like, does Ricochet have to beat up that guy in a bar fight?
Is there places he can do flippy doos off of?
Maybe.
And that's the difference.
Right.
Is that back in the day, it's A begets B.
Sure.
In the 80s, it was a big party scene. You can see that from the Plane Ride from Hell episode of Dark Side of the Ring. Everybody in that group is a 80s, 90s guy partying all the time. Wrestlers now take care of their bodies.
Yeah.
Unless you're Marty Jannetty.
They stay home.
He's still partying.
They play video games. And like the rarities, like Mojo Rawley is the right guy in the wrong era. Mojo Rawley belonged in the 80s. Party guy, go out, have a blast, and he'd have been Ultimate Warrior. Right. Mojo Rawley. Just from the energy and like what he does. But Devin right here, in my opinion, someone chopping who got in the business, who's training, but you're chopping the holy S out of the person, I see a problem. If they're seeing he's tough, he'll continue to go on and on next day, and he quits training and everything. And
now, did he capitalize who? Meaning
the Who,
the guy, the band, the Who, or the wrestler Jim Neidhart under the mask?
Both, yes.
Okay.
He won't get fooled again.
Luna Kitty's also got a very good question. If you pop it up, which wrestler do you think that took too far to protect the business?
Dr. D, Dave Schultz. But goddamn, did he get his point across?
But he also paid the price.
Oh, that's a fair point. He really did.
Yeah.
He protected the business so much that he had to be blackballed from the business he protected.
So wasn't that overprotected it probably?
No, I think
he needed to.
Sometimes, and I don't want to compare it to like questionable practices, but it's like a kamikaze pilot. Sometimes the only way that you can like attack the right
Your
way
job is to die.
That's fair.
You have to be willing to do everything, including take yourself out of the equation.
I mean, I don't think John Stossel questioned it after that.
Right. But John Stossel also got a settlement from Vince
sure
McMahon for what Dr. D did.
Says Dr. D protected the business from an asshole.
A guy who was trying to...
He says he stands with Dr. D.
And I do too. I love Dr. D. I think Dr. D, if you go back and watch his
stuff... I just don't think I stand with either of them.
If it's an either or statement and there's not a option C of of neither,
Okay.
you gotta stand with Dr. D.
Right, because we all as wrestling fans have dealt with the it's fake people.
And also, Dr. D, David Schultz, lived in a world of kayfabe.
Right.
He was a legit tough guy. So if I were a legit tough guy and a guy came up to me and said, hey, that ish you do on TV is fake, I'm going to be like, oh, is it
You
fake?
got to prove him wrong. I mean,
here's what I do. Tell me if this is fake.
He's
going to be at the Icons Festival.
He is
this December.
Dr. D?
So is this kitty.
Dude, this lineup's going to be phenomenal.
Let him slap the shit out of me.
Mark, they got Ken Patera there for you.
Let me ask it this way: is like what Dr. D
Arn Anderson
is? Leave that Glock
Can't spell NRA without ARN.
Is what Dr. D did much different than like the stories we've heard about Stu Hart? Like if people wanted to like test the business, go to the dungeon. It's just we saw what Dr. D did because it was on camera.
It's the same thing with and kind of what Devin pointed out, but in a different way. New trainees to a wrestling school. Listen to the stories of Vern Gagne running people for miles and miles and miles and then coming back and doing thousands of squats and like running people to the point of exhaustion and breaking them physically and mentally to get to that point. Like the stories of like even Vern Gagne too with the AWA wanting to pay Iron Sheik to break Hulk Hogan's legs.
Right.
Patui, I will not do that to Mr. Mitchman. And like it's insane.
So the Eagles are getting bullied right about now.
To Luna Kitty's question, does anybody come to your mind?
Aside from Dr. D, David Schultz, like
nobody really comes to mind.
What about Vader? Over there
Vader in Kuwait.
Okay,
that was probably most recent.
I got one who's more than that.
Tony Schiavone.
New Jack.
Yeah, New Jack for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, he took that ish very seriously.
Yeah, and now part of that was him on all types of narcotics. Now rest in peace to New Jack, like an icon, a legend. But like watch his Dark Side of the Ring, man.
I mean, it was specifically the mass transit incident.
No, the part where he wrestled Gypsy Joe,
and
like stabbed him multiple times.
Yeah, yep, that's fair.
Hogan did put a sleeper, like a shoot sleeper, on a guy after the Dr. D stuff, and like choked him out.
Okay,
but it was.
I've never even heard of that.
I will find it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the guy, he collapsed on the ground and hit his head, and he got up and went to commercial break. Yeah, it was in the 80s.
Never even heard of that.
I forget the guy's name.
But let's any other thoughts on like the busted
Richard
open
Belzer.
stuff? Who is
That's
it?
who it was. Belzer.
Hulk Hogan choked out Richard Belzer.
He was on the
Well, I thought-
original. He was one of the original guys in SVU, I think. Right, Richard Belzer.
Yep. So
there was a Belzer, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Richard Belzer.
Oh wait, like the actor? That's who he choked out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually is the same guy. Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do remember hearing about this now. Yes.
And he put him in a front choke and choked him out.
Did Andy Kaufman go too far to protect the business?
Did Jerry Lawler go too far to protect the business?
Right.
They were both in on it.
Well, no, they were both
in on it.
Nobody else was.
That was great. That was a swerve,
I think that's
bro.
just working. I think that's just working the business.
Possibly, yeah.
They worked Letterman.
Right.
Yeah, Letterman was worked.
Any other thoughts on the busted open stuff, all of this before we move on here?
I'll play some sweet Creed.
We're gonna hit it.
No,
I had
Matt,
this
you're a
idea.
movie guy. Real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh.
But are you a horror guy?
I am, yes.
The song was made popular. The What If from Scream 3. Did you see the Scream 5 trailer? Any interest?
Yeah, I'm interested. I like that franchise overall. I think Scream 4 is better than a lot of people gave it credit for. They just need to revisit it.
I think you're absolutely right. I think Scream 4 is a great concept.
I'll double down. You're also a horror movie fan, so I'd like to know your thoughts on the horror movie Home Alone Again, coming to Netflix in December.
Is that a WWE movie?
No, it's the spiritual successor to the original Home Alone series.
Oh, God.
Yikes.
It's going to be so bad.
Yeah. Thing sucks. Now, I would love if they did a Home Alone 5 with Macaulay Culkin as an adult.
Right. Like that.
Living in the house of his parents. And the children, the sons of the wet, sticky bandits have it out for him and come for him. And you make Home Alone an actual like suspense thriller.
I like
leaning into the fan theory that Kevin McAllister is actually the Jigsaw killer.
Does he have like the remains of his father like in the basement or something? Like,
yeah,
I like that. I like that idea.
It's dark. I like it.
But this what if topic, I had this a couple of weeks ago, and I can't even necessarily remember why I had it because I wrote it down and then I didn't bring it up. It was going to be on last week. We didn't have time to get to it. But like where would like secondary, and I put that word in quotes, like things beyond WWE, even just beyond WWE. Like I get AEW's like right there at the top right now, but like anything that's not WWE, like where in a post WCW world, where would secondary wrestling be if TNA never existed? Like would it be where it is today? Would there be an AEW today? Would
I think what would have happened is because Ring of Honor to TNA, I believe I got to get my dates right here.
Was it Ring of Honor 02?
They were both 02.
Oh, okay.
But Ring of Honor started February 2002.
Who started Ring of Honor? Was it Rob or was it Gabe?
Rob Feinstein. So
Rob, okay.
Technically, Ring of Honor is older than Impact Wrestling by 4 months. But Impact had Jeff Jarrett and everyone else.
Right, like TNA, to their credit, and in some ways to their own, to their own, dismay or whatever. They were the only ones before AEW that felt like there was any possible blip on the radar that they were going to not challenge the WWE, but like because they had a little bit more money, they had a little bit more sway, like whatever it meant when they did, they brought in Hogan and they had, Kurt Angle. I mean, Kurt Angle, some of his best work might have been in TNA Impact. Like
I think wrestled longer in Impact than he did the WWE.
He did.
Yeah.
So like they kind of WCW'd themselves in ways, but like Ring of Honor never felt like, at least to me, and more of a outside WWE, more of a casual viewer, never felt like Ring of Honor. I didn't even know what Ring of Honor was for a long time. So, but like I knew what TNA was. I knew what Impact was.
Right. And to me, if Impact didn't exist, Ring of Honor would have been bigger, faster, and it would have been bigger longer.
Okay.
Because you also have to think that there were 2 time periods in Ring of Honor's history in which there was a working agreement between Ring of Honor and Impact that allowed Impact talent to work Ring of Honor, and then ROH or Impact reneges on that agreement and go, well, now we need them. AJ Styles was a big player in the very beginning of Ring of Honor. He gets pulled and then he comes back again in 2004 and then gets pulled again. Amazing Red, humongous in the Ring of Honor scene in the very beginning in 2002, has a classic match with Low Key, I think at one of the first 3 or 4 Ring of Honor shows ever, where they do the crouching I think it's on Ring of Honor's very first event, The Era of Honor Begins, where they do there is a sequence in the ring that it looks like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where it's amazing. Ring of Honor would have had access to those talents that Impact had, but then you also have to think, while Impact did showcase, or TNA showcased a lot of that independent talent in the X division, where's a Monty Brown? Where is Abyss? Where is Ron the Truth Killings? Where does Raven land? Like, Raven does a stint in ROH in 2003, but Raven is a huge part of TNA.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you go, like, obviously as you go along, like, Christian comes, Christian, Sting, Tomko, Big Sexy Kevin Nash, Gold DDP, Rhino, who's a big part of Impact then, now, and forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think ROH's footprint grows to accommodate some of the larger talents and moves forward. Like, and also you have to think too, to say that TNA doesn't exist means that when WCW fails, Jeff Jarrett decides he doesn't want to get into the wrestling business. I find it hard to believe that if TNA didn't exist, Jeff Jarrett would have found a way to do something else. It wouldn't have been TNA, but it would have been something. He might have gone back to Memphis and he might have started something up in Memphis again. He could have, to piggyback off of the stuff from My World, partnered back up with the guy who he's doing the super shows with in Australia that were the catalysts for the TNA shows. So, or does, in this scenario, in this what if scenario, is Jeff Jarrett actually a part of WWE's plans when the buyout happens? And Jeff Jarrett is brought in during the invasion angle as like the leader of the invasion.
Okay.
And it keeps Jarrett from doing that. Also in this scenario, are we still accounting for WCW does die in 2001? Because that's where a lot of those talents come from too.
Yeah, I think we're looking at like in a post WCW world.
Yep.
If TNA doesn't exist, because like, you know, that was like the big shift in wrestling. And Charlie has a great point with that. Without TNA, the foundation of like AJ, Joe, Daniels, they all stay in Ring of Honor. It's like I was like, look at those guys. Would guys like Joe, AJ, some of the others, would they have
CM Punk was,
you know,
CM Punk was an Impact. Yeah, like,
but like, yeah, it's a post WCW world where, because that's what changed everything. WWE is the only game in town. But then, like, you know, from the ashes of a WCW, comes total nonstop action, and there's at least a product that's a little bit back on TV in some form and fashion, that people can recognize, because who Jeff Jarrett is, who Mike Tenay is, like when you have the voice of TNA. So they were utilizing people that were all of a sudden gone, that now you at least have a place where they are. Like I don't, like I said, it's hard for me to necessarily figure it out, because for me it was, even when WCW was in the game, like to me WWE was always like on top. So it was only during the Monday Night Wars that I really started watching WCW. So like I don't know. I wonder if we get, does WWE, and does it even have an impact on WWE, like because of the rise of guys like AJ Styles and the quote unquote smaller talent, like does WWE make that shift, like with CM Punk and then eventually to Daniel Bryan, and they bring in AJ Styles, and we see a much different makeup to the WWE roster than we ever had before? And I think like that was a product of the, again, quote unquote secondary wrestling product that I think TNA and Impact had a huge hand in. And maybe it is, maybe that is the answer, that Ring of Honor is in that place. Ryan, any thoughts?
We don't get the wrestling debut of Brooke Hogan. We don't get Steiner Math if there was no TNA Impact. The Canadian Destroyer maybe isn't what it is today because Petey Williams doesn't have a platform like Impact Wrestling. I'm just saying it could have happened. But it also gave some more veterans a place to apply their craft in between stops in their career. Sean Waltman, Team 3D, Jeff Hardy, all had stops, maybe not always super successful, but these are guys that went through TNA as well. And who knows, Jeff Hardy had that really, really, really bad incident. Maybe if that doesn't happen in Impact and that happens at like an indie show or something crazy like that, does Jeff get the help he needs to that puts him where he's at today back on the WWE roster? What if, says Creed. What if?
Matt, Mark, any thoughts?
Well, if it wasn't a TNA, would we really have a War Games?
War Games! War Games! War Games! War Games!
Yeah, I think plenty has been said in terms of, the point Ryan made, that a lot of people that found later success outside of WWE, like a Mr. Anderson even, that there's people that didn't have great careers in WWE that did find some level of success with TNA. So it is a good what if question, but a lot of, I think, TNA's success is just kind of what TNA's success, if you can call it that now, is just kind of giving these guys the next opportunity to showcase on a bigger stage than an indie scene.
Bye, Mark.
Bye, Mark.
Rip.
Charlie says the interesting thing about this conversation, without TNA, what happens to Double J or Vince Russo? Well, I think Double J ends up somewhere. I think Tim had a great point there about.
Yeah, he did start Global Force later down the road.
Yeah, like if Jarrett wanted to be in the wrestling business, and maybe without TNA, he doesn't, or maybe he takes some time off after WCW, and eventually the WWE just brings him back.
I would say that the biggest benefactor of Impact Wrestling has clearly always been the Knockouts division. They've always taken that division very seriously. So I think women's wrestling overall, like, do we still see the renaissance that it had then, with the rebuild with the AJ Lee era and the Four Horsewomen? without a knockouts division. I'm not entirely sure, honestly.
It's a great call.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
I mean, that's something that ROH, especially at that time, never did,
Right?
Or cared to do. They're starting again a little bit, but it's a great call, Matt.
Yeah. But any other thoughts to this before we move on to two topics that probably won't take up as much time, obviously, as we're getting closer to the end of the show.
Yeah, let's get through Sands of Time.
Well, we're not quite there yet.
Damn it!
So this past Sunday,
do you have that Days of Our Lives music that you can play?
I don't. I wish I did.
Sands through the hourglass.
This past Sunday was the 50-day mark. Speaking of marks, the 50-day mark for
Ooh, they're on the same line.
They are. They're separated by the gap. We're getting closer. The 50-day mark for CM Punk in AEW. So this I don't remember who I saw this tweet from, but it had kind of like the stats.
For the wrestling podcast.
No. I don't steal from them too much. Although I should start stealing some stuff from them. EJ steals my sound bites every week. But CM Punk's first 50 days, there was 10 hear from Punk segments, whether it was a promo in the ring or a vignette. 3 matches, of course, the wins over Darby Allin, Powerhouse Hobbs, Daniel Garcia. 3 appearances as a commentator, 1 appearance on AEW Dark.
And 1 breakage of the internet with his t-shirt going on sale.
Absolutely. He literally broke a website and he gave out ice cream bars at multiple arenas. How would you assess CM Punk's first 50 days in AEW? To me, I mean, you can. I don't think you can look at it as anything but a success. When you get 15 million views. If we want to talk ratings, quote unquote, you want to get 15 million views or whatever on the YouTube stuff. The viewership for the episode from Chicago, and you have matches. The matches weren't match of the year candidates or anything like that, but he's working with and elevating 3 younger talents in AEW. So I don't know. I don't expect to see CM Punk out wrestling every week on Dynamite and on Rampage. So I think the first 50 days are a success. Thoughts?
I would
I
say
agree.
it's as advertised. Yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of what everyone was anticipating when they heard he was returning. I think that all of the lackluster big announcements they've had in the past, Paul White, I think this kind of really took everything that they kept hinting at, with all the big announcements, the big surprises, the big debuts. I think this one finally took everything that they had tried to do in the past and actually capitalized off of it. And maybe it was just trial and error. Maybe they were overestimating the names that they were having to make these debuts. But I think that this time they absolutely hit it out of the park.
Yeah, I agree with that. We were looking at 50 days. That's 7 weeks. He's wrestled 3 times. That's almost half of the time he's there performing in a wrestling match. Multiple talkie segments, which is absolutely fine. I think you pop the crowd and you hook them on Wednesday so they tune in and watch CM Punk wrestle on Friday. I wouldn't do a damn thing different. A+.
Well said by both of them.
Mark?
I think it's been very refreshing, if I may use the word refreshing.
Okay.
It's great to have CM Punk back. It's what people have wanted, and we finally got it. It was very refreshing the first 50 days. I like it a lot.
If
Here's the
from
50
Luna
more
Kitty,
days.
if CM Punk were ever to be AEW champ, how long do you think the title reign would last?
434.
I don't think he ever should be.
No, I honestly could see him more as the TNT champion.
Yeah.
As opposed to the AEW World Champion. I don't think he need like
I would be surprised if he wanted that, to be honest.
And I don't think he needs to ever be AEW World Champion. Like I don't besides like Money in the Bank wins, I don't think he ever needed, quote unquote, to be WWE champion. Like he's kind of one of those guys that, because of the following and the the character, the attitude that he has, like just being in those spots is almost as important as being a champion. Like him being the focal point, and like in his WWE run, just kind of being like the thorn in the side of the Authority is more important than being a champion. So I don't think he needs to be AEW champion. And if he ever would be, I don't think it lasts very long. I think it's if he would ever win the title, it's more of a product to get to the next champion. So if he wins it at All Out because it's in Chicago, he loses it at whatever the next pay-per-view is
3 months later. Yeah.
Or if you want to do it on a Dynamite or a Rampage.
Yeah, I feel as though it'll, if he does win the title, it'll come one of two ways. Either it will be like Shawn Michaels when he won the World Heavyweight Championship when he came back as like this is the last hurrah. Here's his send off, and he holds the title for a month and he loses it again. Or it's a point of like ECW where, due to injuries or people leaving the company or things like that, like they needed Tommy Dreamer to be the ECW champion. And so you put the title on him because you have to for a spell. I don't think it's hard to say that someone is above a title, especially a title that has such a short lineage as AEW, but Punk doesn't need that title. If anything, the title needs him more than anything else. But
I think that's a great point. I think if AEW, I don't know, ever gets a wild hair up their ass and runs Monday against Raw or something, that is the title opportunity that you would put CM Punk in to get the ratings. Have your own. That'll put asses. I don't know what you do. That's how you beat Monday Night Raw in the ratings.
I don't know if we're far from that. If we're being honest, if nothing else, on like a special night, and this ties back to a question Scotty asked a few minutes back.
Scotty,
he says, "What's Tony Khan's obsession with WWE?" He said it's almost weird at this point.
I'm surprised it took Jim this long to bring that topic to the table. As I saw that float through, I was like, "Oh, Jim, did Jim message Charlie and be like, hey?"
Or Scotty? No, I didn't message Scotty. I think we're getting what the 2021 version of WCW versus WWF was in a way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, that's just kind of what is happening right now. Like, to me, like and I think, Ryan, you and I were hanging out on Friday, and like the only thing that like felt weird, cheesy, whatever it was, like,
was holding hands inside Walmart.
We weren't supposed to talk about that on the air.
That's not weird for you guys.
I was gonna say that's actually
right down the cereal aisle.
Part for the course.
But like the AEW account, like tweeting out the Variety article, like the competition article. But like, I mean, like Tony tweeting it from his personal account, like I don't necessarily see what the issue is. I mean, if you're going to competition, you're trying to rile up your fan base. And if your goal for this weekend is to draw the eyes away from SmackDown, which is on FS1 because because baseball is on is on Fox. Oh, Charlie's got to go. See you, Charlie.
No, Charlie.
If that's your goal, then
lay her down. Tony, fine.
Tony kind of has to do what he's doing, because it was easy, quote unquote, for AEW to beat NXT on Wednesday nights. I don't know if it's necessarily as easy to beat SmackDown on a Friday, maybe because FS1's in less homes than TNT. But if Tony makes that tweet last Friday about how WWE is going head to head with them because they're doing the Super SmackDown till 10:30, then your goal is get people to tune away at 10 o'clock. And now with the buy-in with Daniel Bryan on YouTube before Rampage goes on the air, isn't that what a good promoter does? Isn't that what a good business owner does? Trying to get his fans to watch his product?
Here's the deal. I mean, you can't argue that SmackDown beats the Raw in the ratings, correct, every week. That's been happening now for a while. You move SmackDown, the hot brand, off of Fox to a cable channel that not everybody's going to have. It's not basic over the air. There's an opportunity for you guys, and I get that Dynamite also is on TNT, but the number of people not watching SmackDown, I don't think is because AEW's running a good Rampage. It's because they don't have FS or they can't find it, and they said, "I'm not going to look for it." Whatever.
Baseball, or they're
right.
watching
There's something that, I mean, but you beat if you beat SmackDown in the ratings, that's a feather in your cap, and you run to the races with it. You absolutely do, even if it's 1 week.
That's the headline for Saturday.
Yes,
is if you beat SmackDown or not. Now, if Tony does everything Tony's doing this week and they don't, then it's, you get a little egg on your face.
But do you?
In a way, I don't think it's anything dramatic.
So trying to fight out of your weight class is enough to get egg on your face. All WWE has to do, all WWE has had to do during this entire time with AEW being present is put out a better product, not a good product. All WWE has to do is be better than they are right now. And even with AEW knocking on the door, sending NXT to Tuesday, making them color change and take on a brand new identity, WWE still won't be better. So what else needs to happen? Because Tony's not actively going after, because if you remember, Tony Khan picked Wednesday, and then WWE said we're putting NXT on Wednesdays and we're going 2 weeks before AEW. So WWE counter-programmed AEW.
Right.
So everything so far has been WWE doing something against AEW. AEW, when they had the Friday night show, chose 10 to allow people to watch their wrestling. Watch SmackDown till 10, then come to Dynamite from 11 till 11. And so all WWE has to do is just be better, and they don't want to. They won't.
I mean, that's tough though too. I mean, all the New York Jets have to do is be better. They have who they have. They have their game plans, and they are what they are. And you get what you get.
WWE's roster is too good to be as bad as Raw is.
I
The
was gonna
Jets,
say,
the Jets haven't
is poor analysis.
the Jets. So the only thing that the New York Jets and the WWE have in common is that they've been at the top of their field at least once. The Jets haven't been a championship team
Since before Joe Namath was a drunk.
before, when Joe Namath was wearing pantyhose.
Right.
You're pretty.
Like, that's what
kiss
they
you.
have in common.
I just want to kiss you.
I couldn't care less about the team struggling.
That was it. Yeah,
That was a
something
good- that was a
that
good
was
meme,
solid.
Damn it! I wanted to bring out the wheel of impressions next week.
And so, it's very like WWE just has to do. The only thing WWE has to hang their hat on right now is Roman Reigns. That's it.
Yeah.
They have 8 hours of 7 hours of programming, and Roman Reigns is the only thing worth talking about. When if you take any of the AEW angles that are going on right now, they easily fit better than anything else that WWE does except for Roman Reigns.
Dan Lambert. Except for Dan Lambert.
Dude, that shit's gold. Get over yourself.
It's so bad. I hate it. No, Tim, you have a great point. You have an absolutely great point. And like this week, I mean, all Tony did last Friday was react to the WWE announcing that they were running a half hour longer. He said, well, that's our time. You know, they're coming into our time now.
Right. So I think all bets are off, and let's go to war for this week. Again, not a real war. Everybody's actually friends with each other, probably.
I think
Forbidden doors, whatever.
You know, it's literally the closest I think we're going to get, at least right now, with to you know, the glory days, you know, in the 90s. And if like you said, if AEW ever goes to run on Mondays, then we'll see. But I don't think they do. I don't think they need to. I think they're doing just fine doing what they're doing.
Another wonderful question to ask is, so this Variety article that comes out, is that an AEW piece or is that a WWE piece?
Yes.
Because if it's an AEW piece, then it makes sense. If it's a WWE piece, it's the first time publicly in any form of media that the phrase competition has been used in regards to AEW versus WWE.
Well, and if it's a WWE piece, like and again, we've talked about it. Like WWE does its best when they're on their heels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is this WWE? Is this their PR? Like, is this their and is WWE? This sounds almost funny to say, but is WWE? Did they intentionally pick this week because they know they're going to be on FS1? It's harder to get eyes on the Did they intentionally choose this week as the run over week because they know Tony's going to go, well, now you're cutting into my time, so he's going to react, and we've seen what he's done all week. So I mean, like I said, we were talking on the pre-show. Like, I don't know what you know, the Daniel Bryan on the YouTube show, the buy-in, if that match plays to people who aren't necessarily strong style or Japanese wrestling fans, but like you draw up enough attention that there's going to be people that are, I'm sure, going to tune over. Or if they don't have FS1, they're going to tune in. So like, what happens if we're in that hour that SmackDown's viewership drops by 200,000, but AEW's viewership numbers are 400,000. So like, they can make the argument, well, 200,000 came out. So like, I think it's all smart business on both sides. And if you're going to draw more attention and make more competition, then I think whether it's WWE or it's AEW, then then I think helps both sides. The rising tide raises both ships.
It sure does.
And
Tim, I think you're going to get really lucky here because you just said the WWE just has to do better. And I think that's a great segue to our next segment real quick.
Yeah, Luna Kitty has a question here, and I'm going to write this down. And we'll look at this next week because we're already over our like quote unquote normal run time. What do you guys think? What ideas and suggestions should WWE do to improve ratings and fan base? I think that's a great topic to cover, but not in the time that we have here still. So I'm going to write that down. We're going to hit that next week. But yeah, the thing that I want to get to this week.
There's your 3-count question of the week, Ryan. You can't say you don't know because
there we go. Right here it is.
Kitty.
Next Thursday at noon Eastern time is
I'm going to be off for this. This is nice.
WWE Crown Jewel live from I don't remember what city in Saudi Arabia they're in this time.
Riyadh.
Cheddar? Is it Riyadh? So we have
Riyadh's beautiful this time of year.
Is it? We have a 9-match card. And actually a pretty solid 9-match card. This would be really
good.
It's a fucking banger of a card.
It actually looks really good.
It's better than this is better than the SummerSlam card, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. So let's start at the bottom per the Wikipedia. We have a singles match with Mansour versus Mustafa Ali. To me, this is an easy Mansour, right? I got Mansour. Tim?
I think it goes Mansour here.
Okay. Ryan?
Mansour.
Matt?
Mansour.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm going with Monsoon as well.
Wait. There it is. Will you stop? Then we have a Hell in a Cell match, a Heck in a Sec match. Edge versus Seth Rollins. Just given that this is a Saudi show and the Prince or whoever's booking this show is looking for names from the past, I'm going to go with Edge picking up the win in this one. Intern Mark.
You know what? I'm going to go with Rollins, and I'm sorry if that upset you. I think Rollins is going to take it.
Whoa! I can deal with it.
Jim's upset.
Intern Matt. Matt, go ahead.
I will go with Etch.
Ryan.
Also Etch.
Tim.
Also Etch.
All right. Sorry, Mark. You're kind of out there by yourself on this one.
Well, it's okay.
All right. Then we go to the Queen's Crown Tournament Finals. And maybe this match will get more than 2.5 minutes. We'll see. So we have Zelina Vega and Carmella tomorrow night on SmackDown. The winner of that will advance to the finals. Shayna Baszler versus Doudrop on Monday. The winner of that will go to the finals. For me, I have Zelina Vega versus Shayna Baszler in my finals, and I have Shayna Baszler as your Queen's Crown Tournament champion. Tim.
I also have Shayna Baszler and Zelina Vega, except I have Zelina Vega as the Queen's Crown.
Oh, okay. Ryan.
This is a really big deal, right? This is like no women's match, one women's match, a women's 4-way match. Now in Saudi Arabia.
It's not a
Oh, shoot. Okay.
You're
right.
Zelina or Carmella.
I got it. It's illegal when it's still Saudi Arabia. Shayna Baszler then.
Okay. Who do you have her beating, Carmella or Zelina?
Zelina Vega.
Okay. But there are 2 women's matches on this card.
I knew that.
Matt.
I have Zelina over Shayna.
All right. Intern Mark.
Yeah, I'm thinking Vega and Baszler. And I got to go with the Baszler.
All right. Then we go to the King of the Ring tournament finals. Either Sami Zayn or Finn Balor versus Jinder Mahal or Xavier Woods. And I will go with Sami Zayn defeating Finn Balor on SmackDown tomorrow. Jinder Mahal losing to Xavier Woods. So my finals are Zayn and Xavier Woods, and I have Xavier Woods as your 2021 King of the Ring. Intern Mark.
You know what? I'm thinking the same match with Woods, with Elijah Woods and Sami Zayn. I got to go with Zayn. I think Zayn's going to pull this one out.
All right. Matt.
I have the exact same finish you do, Jim. Woods over Zayn.
All right, Ryan.
I didn't think Sami Zayn plays in Saudi Arabia.
Oh shit!
So
you are right.
I have,
or at least he hasn't before.
He hasn't before. I don't think he's going to start now. I have Finn Balor, and Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods wins.
That is a great point, Charlie. I love the spirit of the thing, guy. If you want to get us hooked up with a Blue Chew sponsorship, you can do that. Until then, I won't post or read the sponsor ads on the air. Tim, go ahead.
WWE, do the right thing. King Woods, please. I don't care who. I don't care how.
It's got to be Woods.
King Woods.
Has to be.
It has to be Woods.
King Woods.
Then we go.
Here comes the Blue Chew comment, right?
Bobby Lashley versus Goldberg. And as much as I hate it, I think part of the reason you had a Big E cash in and a title change when you did is so that we sacrifice Bobby Lashley to Goldberg in Saudi Arabia. But it is not for a title. So if Lashley had to die, if his title reign had to die for Goldberg to not be WWE champion, then Bobby Lashley is a better man than I am, because I unfortunately have Bill Goldberg winning in Saudi Arabia next Thursday in a match that I'm sure will just be awful. Tim.
I've also got Bill Goldberg.
Ryan.
Don't care.
Pick one, please.
Goldberg.
Thank you. Matt.
Goldberg.
Intern Mark. I assume that's not actually your pick, though.
You know what? I think I'm going to have to go with Bobby. If anybody knows anything about being lost in the desert and coming out a winner, it's Bobby. He's been practicing for years in the Grand Canyon, so he's ready.
He is. Devin says Goldberg as well. Then we go to a singles match for the WWE Championship. Big E defending against Drew McIntyre. E's got to retain. Absolutely. Intern Mark.
Got to be the capital E.
Matt.
Correct. E.
Ryan.
Drew McIntyre hasn't been around the championship picture for a while, so Big E.
Tim.
Big E.
Sure. Tim. Big E.
All right. Tag
Biggie.
team match for the Raw tag team titles. RK Bro defending against AJ Styles and Omos. RK Bro retains here. I don't know if we get any titles moving on this show. RK Bro's gotta retain. Tim.
RK Bro.
Ryan.
Yep. RK Bro.
All right. Matt.
Bro.
Intern Mark.
Bro.
And then we go triple threat match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Becky Lynch defending against Bianca Bel-Air and Sasha Banks. Despite Becky moving to Raw, I think she is going to retain, because the following night on SmackDown, we're just going to have one of those awkward changing of the title things like they did with the tag team titles 2 years ago during the draft, because Charlotte's not losing her title between now and next week. So Becky will retain. In turn, Mark.
Bro. No, we did that one.
We did that one already.
I got to go with Becky Lynch. She's going to retain. It's going to happen.
All right, Matt.
Becky Lynch.
Ryan.
Rebecca Lynch.
Thank you. Tim.
I'm gonna go Sasha Banks.
Okay. Is she still on SmackDown post draft? I honestly don't even remember at this point.
I believe she did get drafted to the land of the Smack.
Okay. And then finally, Roman Reigns defending the Universal Championship against Brock Lesnar. I'm going to have Roman retain here. There's been some buzz this week that we thought The Rock versus Roman was going to be a Survivor Series. Now they're thinking it's not going to happen until not next year's WrestleMania, but the following in Hollywood. I'm not sure that I totally buy that, but I think the reign of Roman is going to continue here. Tim.
Roman's reign continues.
Ryan.
Roman's reign should continue. I just feel like it's going to be Brock. I'm going to go Brock Lesnar here, folks.
Okay. I wouldn't necessarily hate it.
I mean, I hate the whole show. I'm not watching a fucking second of it. It's at a Thursday at like 3 p.m. or some shit. Who's got time for that?
I used to.
Used to. Not anymore, big boy.
I have a job where I actually have to pay attention to my job.
Brock Lesnar.
Matt.
Brock.
All right. And Mark.
Well, I don't know how he's going to do it, but I think Reigns is going to remain champion.
All right. There you go. Devin says Reigns, but a dirty finish so they can continue the rivalry. Yeah, I think Heyman gets involved somehow or something. Or one of the Usos throws the towel. I know Matt loves when they do that. So something. It's not going to be clean by any stretch of the imagination. Let's give a preemptive grade.
F-.
Agreed. F.
All right. F-. Mark.
I'll give it a D. I'm going to give it the D.
All right. What do we got? This show is going to be trash. Jason, are you just catching it? Were you listening during the AEW segment, or are you talking about Crown Jewel? Tim.
I think this is going to be a B+ show.
Devin gives it a C. Yeah, I think it's going to be somewhere in that B category. Like most of the Saudi shows, most of the matches usually deliver. Now the Undertaker Goldberg match was one of the worst matches ever. The Kane and Undertaker versus Generation X is one of the worst matches ever. But a lot of times these shows do deliver. Like I said, this time not really going to be able to watch it like I used to be able to, but it's the only pay-per-view this month. So they're I think they're going to put some of their best feet forward on this one. All right, that is going to bring us to our close this week. Unless anybody has anything else they want to add, you can do that while you wrap things up. So I'll throw it to you, Mark, first. Got anything to plug or
I'll
add?
see everybody. At this Wednesday at Funk's Brewing for it's going to be music bingo. I'm looking for somebody to join the team.
Don't
music bingo.
Guys, we're getting along.
Music
Jason says it'll be an
thing,
A+ if Oldberg knocks himself out again. Matt, woman of the week this week.
Yep. Woman of the week is Myra Diaz Gomez. So go give her a follow on Instagram. If you go to our Instagram page at 3 Count Thursday, you can find her and every woman of the week. Give them a follow. Give the posts a like. Each post like contributes as a vote towards their Women of the Year status.
All right. Ryan, anything?
No, nothing. Come on, guys.
Thanks for tuning in again.
Goodbye, Thunder Kitty.
Good night, Leonard Kitty. It's time for her to take
I'm gonna go watch the Eagles lose. Bye.
The Eagles.
Dean versus Goldberg can still go booking till go fuck yourself. I think we get the general idea there. Tim, got anything to plug?
Not the Toolman across all platforms. Final Wrestling Place, Viewer's Choice, other podcasts that I do. But tell your people you love them. Tell your people you care about them, and don't be afraid to give people the recognition in your life that they deserve. Before you may not have that opportunity ever again. So be mindful, be thoughtful this coming up week, and we'll see you back here on Thursday. Big Jim.
Yeah, it's a great point. I like the way you end that. You can follow the show at 3 Count Thursday. You can follow me at Big Jim Sports. Go to 3countthursday.com. Catch us on YouTube. Catch us on all of our social media. Buy the merch over at the TeePublic store. Collar and elbow brand deal. It's all right there. You go to 3countthursday.com. Any of our social medias have the link tree. Check out our networks, NGSC Sports and the Leave Sports and Music Network. Thank everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it and interacting with us and giving us a great topic for next week that we're going to talk about. So enjoy your week. Stay safe, stay smart, and go for the pin.